Hi, we're the Geeky guys.
And today we're coming on to have a quick chat about Batman from the DC universe.
Absolutely. Where else would Batman be?
Marvel? Oh
No.
dear, hope not.
Yes, Batman. So, one of the other videos we did was Superman, and we did that after we'd done a poll
On Twitter.
to say what people thought was the best Superman. So we thought we'd do the same thing because we did a poll way back. When was it we did the poll?
Early December.
Early December. To say what people's favourite Batman was.
We had to do really, didn't we? After we'd done Superman, we had to ask what people's favourite Batman was, surely.
Yeah. And in the light of Justice League, which has just been released over the last few days, so we'll come on and find out what people think about
people
that.
thought, yeah.
So we did this way back.
Way back when?
Way back in December last year.
The heady days of 2017.
And I was a little surprised. Just before we start talking about what they are particularly, I was surprised that the one that I thought would be a little bit higher wasn't.
No, and kind of the one that won it kind of came in an environment that something had happened not long before that I think kind of made people jump into it, not to his defence because he is really good, but he actually jumped in and backed in because of something that had happened.
Yeah.
Very sadly, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes. So, Batman. We'll come back to the poll in a minute. So Batman first came to the world in the Detective Comics, DC Comics, back in 1939, just 1 year after Superman arrived.
And it was crazy.
With issue 1 of Detective Comics. But yeah, issue 27 was the Batman comic, the first one. And I think the comparison between Superman and Batman in that first one was like, wow, because all of a sudden you've got this really dark character as opposed to the really bright light character that was Superman. Yeah,
it made it a little bit more dark and gritty, didn't it? And
yeah.
The whole thing of Gotham City, and it was a little bit different to the lit and happy metropolis. So it was a little bit different, wasn't it? A different tone to it.
And obviously since then, just like Superman, Batman's had quite a lot of live action TV and films as well.
Yeah.
So let's jump straight in and we'll go for the last one on the poll, and in between the polls we'll talk about what we think. So the last place on the poll, I'm not sure why, 17% Christian Bale.
Yeah, it's very surprising that is. He's a good Batman.
The Christopher Nolan trilogy was like really, really well received. It did really, really well.
Yeah.
And yet, on our poll at least, it was 17%.
Yeah, it was strange because after sort of the debacles of sort of Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, it was the new trilogy.
We don't talk about those.
No, they're just forgotten. They didn't make those. But I think going back to those films, then you look at when they relaunched it with Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. It kind of lifted Batman back up again, didn't it? I think Batman had a resurgence.
It's
with those
films.
films.
And it's quite interesting, obviously, that the first Batman Begins was 2005.
Yeah.
Which only 1 year later, 2006, you got Superman Returns.
Yeah, of course.
So they kind of brought, within a few years, they brought them back out again.
Yeah, so those characters were back.
Superman Returns, although it did pretty well, and we talked about this in the last video, but they never made the follow-ups. Brendan Routh was contracted to do another 2 movies.
It's supposed to be a new trilogy, wasn't it? And it didn't happen.
But the Batman ones did really well.
They seemed to, yeah, it was strange that was.
And they went all the way to 2012. 17%, what can you say? Now this is the one that surprised me, because in second to last place, 19%, Ben Affleck.
Yeah.
I thought his Batman was really good.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, he was a good Batman and a good Bruce Wayne. We got both were toned and performed spot on, I think, pretty much. I didn't have any negative feelings myself about Ben Affleck's Batman. Maybe it's because he's only done, the appearance at in Batman versus Superman and a little bit in Justice League. Maybe he's not been around long enough for people to love that iteration of Batman, but yeah, it's very surprising that it's that late.
Yeah. I was surprised. And while we're on it, obviously, like we said, Justice League's just been released. Mixed reviews for Justice League.
Yeah, didn't quite hit the box office heights they were hoping, by the sounds of things.
Ben Affleck, of course, kind of leading man through most of it.
Yeah. Well, Superman was dead, so he had to take centre stage, didn't he?
And of course, he put Justice League together. Whereas, obviously, go back to way back in the comics and the founding members, it's more Superman that kind of put it together.
Yeah.
Although there are variations where that changes. So, yeah.
So I think you were saying earlier that Batman and Superman were not even the main characters, or even really mentioned in the early iterations of those comics of the Justice League.
The initial Justice League lineup had all your comic book characters that were big at the time: your Superman, your Batman, your Aquaman, your Flash, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, and of course Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman.
However, rarely featured in a lot of the stories, Superman and Batman didn't always appear on the cover most of the time for the comics. It's only in later on now, like when the animated series came out and Batman and Superman.
They're a lot more up front now, aren't they, in the later versions of Justice League.
Just obviously back to Ben Affleck for a second.
Yeah.
Lots of hype and speculation about whether there's going to be a standalone Batman film.
There needs to be, doesn't there?
With Affleck's Batman, I'd like to see one. I think it'd be good. In December, Ben Affleck gave an interview where he said that he would like to do a solo Batman, but he was waiting for the right script to come around.
The right material to come through.
And he didn't like any of the ones that they gave him, and it just seems like there's been going backwards and forwards, and almost like he's lost interest now.
Yeah, sounds like it.
He said he'd direct it as well. In fact, take that back. He wanted to direct a Batman film, is what he said. Sorry, but obviously the script didn't come along. Now, whether he would play Batman, I think he should. I don't know.
Yeah, he should do, really. I mean, I think we've both kind of said you can imagine with those actors having a really good new Superman trilogy with Henry Cavill, having a really good new Batman trilogy with Ben Affleck. I think both would be really good standalone films. And I think we were reading earlier that Ben Affleck was a little bit annoyed that people were trying to push when's the solo Batman, as opposed to supporting the Justice League films and
all the other stuff.
All the other characters. I think people kind of they did have interest levels, but not the higher interest levels in the other characters that people thought perhaps they might have had. But I think we said at the time that if they'd have done it differently, and they'd have had the individual character films first, they'd have had like Flash, Cyborg. Obviously, we did have Wonder Woman, but I think if we'd have had Flash and Cyborg, Aquaman, a couple of the others before Justice League, then they'd have all tied into the one film, them all come together. I think it may have been a bit better.
That's what Avengers did. Iron Man. I had Iron Man 2 before Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
You had, both the Hulk films came out. Thor came out.
Yeah, that's true.
There's another one off the top of my head. I can't remember. What is it? What am I missing?
Doctor Strange.
No. Go back to the beginning. The Memory Palace has let me down. People will be screaming at the screens now. What is it? 2 Iron Mans, Thor, Hulk, Captain America, the first Captain America film. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to think of. They all came out first. Then
Marvel did it
Assemble, and it kind of worked. There you are.
Yeah, DC went the other way and perhaps cost them for doing so, maybe.
I hope that's not the case, but I think it's going to be. So back to the poll.
Back to the poll. Yeah, we need to get back to the
second place. Now, we could have picked lots of options, but on Twitter we can only pick 4. So these are our options, not.
Yeah, we hasten to mention that. A lot of people have actually commented and said that the person I voted for is not, I would vote for, is not on the poll, or the person I'd like to see on there isn't. And the problem is at the moment, like you've just said, you can only have 4 options, so you can only go for the 4 most obvious choices.
Maybe we should do like a different poll website just to put one out, see what would happen with everybody on, because that'd be interesting.
Maybe do like a Survey Monkey or something like that. Actually, get about 6 options, then I think, or a bit more. We'll do that and just put a link to it. Maybe
we'll do that. We'll put one out for all the Batman, and all the Supermen, and we'll do that for both and see what happens. Because there are some Supermen we never talked about
No, I mean Clooney and Kilmer were omitted from the list,
on
they?
the Batman
Originally
list.
on the Batman
Well,
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, we obviously had some ones we could have chucked in on the Superman one as well, like Tyler Hoechlin, who's in the new Supergirl series. We could have had Tom Welling from Smallville.
We could have had George Reeves from the
George Reeves
1950s
from the
TV
original
show,
series.
and we could have had Kirk Allen, who'd played Superman in the serials
Yeah,
way
that's
back.
true.
But anyway.
Anyway,
Second place then, 31%. It's gone up a bit this time, obviously from 1989 and 1992 respectively. Michael Keaton.
Yeah, very popular choice.
We did expect him to be near the top of the list.
Yeah, I think most people you speak to and you talk to them about Batman, Michael Keaton is the one that's mentioned more than others probably, isn't it?
It was the first, it was the first film version of Batman that I can think of that wasn't animated, at least.
Did they actually do a TV film with Adam West? They
did. They did Batman the movie, but it was a TV movie.
It was a TV movie,
the
not
one
a
where
feature.
you've got the famous scene where they're going up to the Batcopter on the ladder and the shark jumps out.
I remember seeing
shark
that.
repellent, and you can see the safety pin where the shark's pinned onto his eyes.
I can remember that now. Yeah, they did just a TV movie, didn't they,
Yeah.
rather than a feature? So yeah, it's the proper full feature at the cinema was Michael Keaton.
And it was good. It was good. It was what you'd expect Batman to be. The theme was fantastic, which I think we mentioned when we talked about Justice League last time. You appeared
a little bit of the original music, which was quite nice.
And in first place, Adam West, 33%.
Yeah,
and we
so it
did
was
say,
close run.
and we did say obviously that he passed away.
Yeah,
Not so long back.
not long before we'd done the poll, so
And
we do think.
You know, and they only did this series for a couple of years on the ABC network. It ran from January 12th, 1966 to 1968.
Yeah,
only a couple of years. And it's a shame because they were going to do more.
Yeah, they should have done.
I believe there was a issue with a communication at the network, and they tore down all the sets.
Right.
And they said, no, we're going to do another one. And then they priced up putting all the Batcave back together again and rebuilding it all. The cost was too great, so they just didn't do it.
They didn't do
But
it.
they were going to do another one, which is a shame because that was good fun.
Yeah, that would have been interesting as well, going into the 70s and how technology evolved and how they could have done better effects and things would have looked better, wouldn't they? They could have used different locations as well.
You know,
Would have been interesting.
people do sort of poke fun at the 60s series, and you can see why.
Yeah.
You know, it was just a little bit of fun, and if you take it in that vein, it's great to watch.
Yeah, it is. I think it's still a good series to watch.
I like to play the game where you say, right, how many times can you film the same street on the top New York set of Warner Brothers from a different angle with a Batmobile driving down to make it look like a different street?
Make it like a different one.
And again, if you're a Superman fan and you've seen the Lois and Clark series, it's how many times will it drive past the front of the Daily Planet before they change shot?
Well, they can't get away with it anymore. It's like the whole thing with Doctor Who and corridors, isn't it? And
yes.
And bushes, how many times can you run past the same bush or go around the same corner? It's but then again with sets, they've only got so much space. It's fair enough, I suppose. I think we can let them off for that.
Yeah. So today was just really a quick look at our poll for Batman and go through the results with you because we've not done that yet.
No.
And obviously say that Justice League's just out on
now.
Blu-ray. So
Blu-ray,
if you buy it and you've watched it, or you've not seen it yet and you buy it and watch it, let us know what you think to it.
Yeah.
And we'll put another poll out about all the Batman.
Yeah, so go onto Twitter, onto Geeky_guys, or Instagram @guysgeeky, and get in contact with us. Let us know what you think.
And and we'll see what your results are.
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.